So this part again, as you're going through the shading, this is done in pen and ink. We're starting off with the graphite. And down here where you can see, again, the contour line is the outer line of the object. The cross contour just means that it's crossing over the form or the shape or the object. And these lines that you see in pen are just wrapping around this in a cylindrical shape, but they go into a conical fashion up to the top. Very similar to the cylinder, you're just tapering it to the top. So almost getting the idea of how to place that elliptical shape on the base of this. So let's see if I can show this to you here. If you take a look, you can see the grid of your paper. So I'm going to kind of just use 3 squares, and since this is an isometric idea of a template or a grid, the equal measure falls into place. So this square right here is the same square measurement each way, all the way back to the right and the left, and wherever it happens to show itself, it's going to be placed right in there. Okay. So again, when we found the center, you can cross the diagonals of a square, or any parallelogram is going to help. And when you do that, you can see this smaller triangle right here is the same thing. It's just repeating itself all throughout. So that's the center point. And this is a 30-degree angle as it goes through here, so it's going to find a point on either midpoint of this section. And it's, like I said, it's equal measured. And what that means is that if I measure from the corner to the center, it's the same distance from this corner to the center. It's not necessarily in perspective, it's just giving that illusion. And then again, here it is already divided into thirds, so you can just go ahead and use that point, and if you project it coming across here or down, as long as it's parallel, meaning equal distances all the way, this is giving me this cylindrical shape. And it makes it that easy. So now I have this 8-sided shape, an octagon, and it's projected in there, and all I need to do is just round these off, and you'll end up with a pretty accurate ellipse drawn out. The height of the cone is going to follow this center line, and since it has a line to match up to, I'm just going to extend it up to here. So this is going to be the top of the cone, and just laying the pencil down, it's going to have a tangent line, meaning it's going to touch the elliptical shape there, go all the way to the center of this, so wherever that tangent line is. And right now I'm just freehanding it in there. You might have a straight edge, but I'm just going to keep that up there like that. So now I have the cylinder. Now it depends on how you can perceive this. You can see the front part of the cylinder, or you can change it and make it like a cone shape. So it has the inside out. If you flip it over, it has the ice cream cone feel to it. So either way you want to shade it is fine. I have one and can easily do the other, but I'm just going to keep it on the flat surface. Still have the light source coming from here. And now the idea of having a little bit of tone, just slightly, because I want the light source to hit here. And if I just project these lines down, radiating from this point, it'll help me build that part up. So here's the highlight. I'm going to put the quarter tone almost in the midsection here. I can take a look at the half tone and the base tone, and it lists them almost right as you go across. So here's the highlight. I'll leave that to paper. And if you can imagine this being shaded with lines radiating from the top, there's a quarter tone. And since all this is going to be shaded, I can just put in the half tone. So they're almost like triangular shapes themselves. When you take a look at a computer 3D model rendering, sometimes it's in a low render, it shows all the planes of the object until it's rendered a little bit more, and you can't tell what's underneath. But for this part, you want to know what's underneath there to help you draw it. So here's the base tone, so I'll just put some heavier piece, and then the reflected light is going to be almost like the quarter tone value. So by doing this tone, you're also talking about value, which is the lightness and darkness of the object. And it's going from, in this case, the lightest part is the color of the paper, building that over, and darkest is the darkest part of the medium, which is the material that you're using to draw with. So there's the base tone. And I'm going to put just a little bit of a heavier section on the bottom so you can see it. So I'll go back in and fine-tune this, but I just want to project the cast shadows. So for example, in these parts, like with the cylinder, it came straight out. So if you think of that concept coming straight out from both the front part of the ellipse and the back part, then you can see a cylindrical shape, but this is a cone. So if you extend the center line out and just end it, I'm going to end it before it goes off the paper, and just reverse it to a tangent for this edge, and you can see through this part, and now you have this cast shadow. Now the cast shadow is most of the time transparent, depending on how strong the light is, and it's going to gradate from a dark to a light, and again you're going to lose some of those edges into the shading, keeping it very light. Okay, so that's kind of the beginning of it. Any part beyond this is just trying to up the value key. So I'm going to go a little darker with the base tone just to set that image. And this is where you're going to lose some of that piece. The other thing is you have the surface. If you do this paper right on the table, you have the hard surface behind it, which is good for the pencil to get some nice crisp detail. And you can always put this on a sketchbook, so I have a softer edge to shade, so even the sounds a little different. So I can blend that in there. And that'll give me this piece. Again, the light of the paper is the highlight, but the texture allows some of the light to show through. And this is for any paper that you use, you have that option. And then as I blend this in, I lose the initial straight lines that I made to show the shadows and the way it was shaded. So you've started off with a linear drawing, and you lose the line as you start to blend in with the values. And when you look in things, there's really, the linear parts are always made by shapes. The concept of the line is there.